Check, check, 1, 2, test, test. Is this thing on? This thing's on. Cool. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me today. The date is February 17th, 2021. I'm here coming to you live from beautiful Victoria, BC. I don't know if I've ever seen such a blue sky today. I've ever seen such a blue sky as the sky that we have here in Victoria, BC today. It looks spectacular. Right after the stream is done, I'm gonna go for a walk or a bike ride maybe, and really soak up some sun, get some vitamin D going. Just I live in the most beautiful place in the world. I might as well enjoy myself. So, what are we gonna do today? Yesterday we got the game using 4x4 bricks, and it's awesome. And the only problem is that right now the collision detection is a little bit imprecise, and so it's very easy for the ball to knock out 2 bricks at one time, which isn't such a bad thing really, but it does look a little iffy. And I said that we would take the opportunity to improve the collision detection. Right now the collision detection is based on a single point. It's based on the center of the ball. And I suspect what's happening actually is that this is super hard to describe verbally, and I don't know if I would even be able to. Let me see. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. 6x6. So I suspect what's happening is that the ball is entering the middle of the brick, and then it's bouncing off. And when it bounces off, it's still inside another brick, and so we'd end up knocking out 2 very quickly. Although, you know, it's weird because we don't get that sort of. The reflection still seems basically correct. So I'm not really sure exactly what's going on with the collision detection. I just know that I've got a lot of imprecision. So what am I going to do? One thing I could do is I could do a sort of bounding box collision. You know, maybe not exactly around the 8x8 of the ball, because the ball is not a perfect rectangle, and that would be super weird if it like collided when that hit. But maybe around like that, I could test using these 4 points, so to speak. That's a thing that I could do. Another thing that I want to try doing is I destroy the brick when the ball enters it, and then I bounce it off, but I still act as though the ball fully entered the brick. And that's not really what happened, right? Like, what really happened is the ball collided with the side of the brick, and it just sort of, you know, we're simulating a world in which the ball can't go inside of a brick, but we're sort of, the math works out such that the way we do the computations, we let the ball go inside of the brick and then check to see if it's inside of the brick. So maybe we could do something like move the ball outside of the brick before we do another collision, before we do more collision testing. That would be like a nice quick hack, because the problem with trying to do a full bounding box collision is that collision detection on the Game Boy is a real pain in the butt. It requires tons and tons of instructions, and it's very, very slow. And as much as possible, we like to simplify. lots of I think Nintendo games um, only run their collision detection code once every other frame, for example. They do things like that to try to improve performance. Just because collision detection sucks, like you don't want to do it, you know. So um, and so you do take these shortcuts and these hacks in order to make your collision detection code faster, smaller, simpler, and so on. So I'm gonna try this quick hack where we just, as soon as we bounce off, we reflect and we apply the velocity, but we don't do another collision test. Um, and I suspect that this is going to work out nicely. Maybe not. I guess we'll just have to see. Because right now this ball is just too dang powerful. It's just tearing right through these bricks, and we don't want to make life too easy for our players. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to pull up this my to-do list. And I was looking over this to-do list before the stream, and I will say one thing that I noticed is I feel like most of the sort of framework really is here, you know, like aside from getting the collision detection right and maybe adding multiple levels, maybe that's like the next sort of big thing to do. Um, Everything here is kind of about adding smaller features, you know, like extra lives at particular scores, things like that. Um, and so we're sort of reaching the point where we're no longer making a game engine, so to speak, and instead we're making a game, which is exciting. But it's also a little bit of a problem for me because I haven't really given any thought to like making a game beyond like, oh, it's going to be Breakout or whatever. And I don't really know what to do with that. Like I can start doing it. I'll start doing it, but I feel like it's going to involve like less interesting streams, a lot more tweaking small things. I don't know. We'll see. So some big things to work on, I guess, would be animations, um, like code wise, interesting code wise things, animations, sound and music. Um, this refactoring is something I'd like to do. I don't know. There's a few things, but I'm starting to reach the point where um, I'm going to start being held back by assets. Like I want a nicer title screen. Well, like I guess I need some kind of logo. Shoot, I guess I better make a stylish looking logo for bust free, which I guess I can do. I'm not much of an art person, but I guess I can do some kind of decent looking logo maybe. Sound and music, same deal. I have limited musical talent. So I guess I can make something, but like, I don't know if I want to do all this stuff on a stream as the thing. And I don't know if I have time during the rest of my life to do it. So I don't know. I apologize for the brief um, state of the union, so to speak. But I just wanted to sort of put you guys in my headspace about what's going on here and what we're gonna do next. Yeah, yeah. So let's get working on this collision detection stuff, huh? Um, I'm really hoping this is gonna just be as easy as. Let me find the places where I call reflect in the stage collide code. So I call reflect here. What if I, right here, where do I do it? It's an update ball X. Yeah, why don't I just call apply velocity right here? And maybe since I've got this repeated a few times, in order to avoid repeating all this code, I could like still use a macro to generate this code, but I could, you know, still have it in a separate function. It might be a good call. So let me see. Let me just see how well this works for now. So let's reload the ROM. I actually really like using this zoomed in mode for the stream, so I'm going to do that. No, that didn't help at all. If anything, it feels like it made things worse. Which actually surprises me quite a bit. We definitely need to adjust that ball speed. It's going way too fast. Because I would think that call check stage collide X. What do we call it? An update ball X. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do here. Apply velocity X. I think this is the problem. I'm not actually updating my collision code or like variables or whatever. So I'm gonna call that and then call that and then return. And I don't know if anyone watching this has been paying attention, but one thing I haven't been doing is a very, very standard optimization called tail call elimination. So we call this routine and then we immediately return. Anytime we do that, we can just replace this with a jump, because then the return from update ball collide is going to take us back to whoever called apply velocity X. But I don't do that unless I really have to, because frankly I think it makes the code a little less appealing to read and harder to edit. Like if I want to add more routines calls later on, like I have to start turning jumps into calls and so on. So I only do that when absolutely necessary. So I'm going to have this apply velocity X and apply velocity Y here. And then I'm just going to search for any instance where I use apply velocity ball. Oh, whoops. Let's fix that too. Any instance where I use apply velocity on ball velocity X, and I'm going to replace that with call apply velocity X. So it looks like that's the only place. That's good. And then velocity. I thought I was doing it in more places, but I guess not, which is good. Call apply velocity Y. Similarly, call apply velocity Y. Let's see if that helps, because when I tried that, I wasn't calling these update ball row and ball column routines, so those were inaccurate, and that could have led to, those are what's used for collision detection, so that could have led to those issues. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Beautiful. Yeah, so that actually saved us. That saved me a lot of pain trying to get the collision detection to be more precise. It looks like we can still get away with using the center of the ball, which, like, roughly speaking, checks out, because we're not, the ball's velocity is limited to 3 pixels per second, or per frame, I mean. And the size of the ball is 8. So halfway into the ball towards the center is 4 pixels. So roughly speaking, like, the ball should never like end up going through things or anything like that. That is awesome. That makes me really happy. I feel so relieved, honestly. That looks great and was so much easier to do than I was worried it was going to be. That looked kind of weird, but I think it might have been okay anyways. Okay, cool. So I'm going to save that commit. Really, that's what I wanted to get out of the way for Alpha 3. So that gives me a whole, half of a week to just do whatever I want. Just all sorts of little things. Okay, so git commit. Improve collision detection. Woo! Awesome. What are we gonna do now? Like, what would be some nice game engine-y things to do? I do want to do some refactoring a little bit. Let's try. Like, this ball file is way too big. 425 lines of code. I'm not sure how much I can do to improve that. Like, I feel like this I should split up and move out. This can certainly be moved into game.asm. Which like, even this I could start splitting up. I could move this draw lives, draw score, draw status stuff out into a different different module as well. Where is the, gosh. There we go. I need to figure out a good way to make sure that this always uses four character tabs. It's doing something which like makes it imagine that I'm using eight space tabs. I don't know. I've always been a like either a Vim person or an Emacs person, or when doing Game Boy programming, often just a Notepad person. But I thought for this stream, you know, I should not be showing other people my bad habits, and like using Notepad as a programmer is a bad habit. So I wanted to use VS Code, but unknown symbol speed up. Speed up. Yeah, that does belong here. I don't want to be calling it from here. So I'm going to take that out and just on brick collide. Pretty sure these rearrangements that I'm doing are safe. I say I'm pretty sure because you never know when you've accidentally have some kind of dependency going on with the contents of the registers. I think those are the only two places. But I think this is okay. So let me just reload the ROM to test that real quick. Yeah, this feels good. Cool. So I'm going to keep that change. Next, what did I want to do? I wanted to move the status bar code into a different module. It's not huge, it's not a lot, but it should help. So let's take this. Like I'm a real, I said this before when I first started streaming. I believe that no individual procedure shouldn't fit on screen. Like if it's more than a screen tall, it's too long. And any given file shouldn't be more than 100 lines of code. That's my belief about good code practices, because any more than that, it's too hard to keep in your head. Unfortunately, I'm not at that point on several of these files and several of these procedures, but with the limited abstraction capabilities of the Game Boy, like the Game Boy's CPU and stuff, there's only so much you can do. But like this is over 100 lines, but it's everything in here looks perfectly reasonable and sane. So I'm gonna there's nothing else in here that I want to pull out. And then I think this is okay. Let me just hit make.bat. And Yeah, look at that. Where does that come from? Missing imports. I believe I need both of these because I need ball tile and I need the score bytes. And does this need the ball tile anymore? It doesn't. So actually, I can probably delete this include statement. Score still, all this still belongs here. Okay, cool. Does that build? That builds. Rad. Double check to make sure I haven't broken it. Looks good to me. Okay, I'm gonna make a commit for those refactors. Let's see if there's anything else in ball that I just like really strongly feel doesn't belong in here. I could definitely make a case that a lot of this collision code just could go in a separate file called like collide.asm. And I mean, that would do probably what I want to do. And why don't I just do that? In terms of like all these things where I update the ball and I apply velocity, I speed the ball up. This can all stay in ball. But anywhere where we're like checking, oh, does the ball hit the paddle? Like that is about the ball, but it's also, and we happen to do this check as part of the ball's routine. But really it's more about the relationship between two things, the relationship between the ball and the paddle, the relationship between the ball and the stage. So maybe I can just put it in a separate place instead of tying it up with the ball. Check paddle collide, check bottom collide. I think this still belongs here. Like, nothing really enforces. Like, if I were using a programming language which didn't support like circular dependencies and stuff like that, I need to think really, really carefully about what belongs where. I wouldn't be able to have the ball call into the collide code, which calls into the ball code. I might need to split things up even more, for better or for worse. And yeah, this update map definitely doesn't belong in here. But the nature of the Game Boy is such that an assembly language programming is such that there's no such restriction. So everything is kind of determined not based on like actual constraints imposed on me by the logic of the programming language. It's all just kind of like loose sort of gut feeling. Which, you know, has its pros and has its cons. This all feels good. And now, yeah, now we've got the ball code down to only, you know, it's still a little too large, but 250 lines, very reasonable. Especially, we're going to get update map out of here too, at least in part, and that's some of the worst code. So I'm going to put this in collide for now, even though it doesn't belong in there for the most part. So I'm going to add collide to my builds. You may be wondering why I don't just use a wildcard and just build all the ASM files and link together all of the object files. And I have no good answer for you. That's almost certainly what I should be doing at this point. But it's all good. Collide.o did not build. build failed to set file collide.asm. No, I'm pretty sure it's there unless I have a typo. Did I save it in the wrong place? Oh. Oh yeah, I somehow saved it in the wrong place. That's the problem. Honestly, reveal in File Explorer and just let me pop it there. There we go. Oh, and I need to close you. I need to reopen you. Still have update act. So made section collide wrong 0. Build. Still not building. Macro reflect not defined. Yeah, that's a problem. So that's easy though. What I'm going to do is create a reflect X, and I can make it global, and I can just expand that macro, which is probably the right way to do this. Right. So instead of calling like invoking the macro and expanding it in this other file, I'll just call this routine, which will expand. So then I can just call reflect X, call reflect X, and that's going to cut down on the code. And I think that's safe in terms of HL, like in terms of my registers. So call reflect Y. This is actually great, and something I probably should have done a while ago, because now we're generating way less code. These reflect macros would always expand out into a bunch of code, and now they are just now there's only one place where they're expanded out. Over here, and yeah, do we have it anywhere else? No. This looks good. Cool. We still have tons of unknown symbols. Cool. I'm just going to copy this over for now. That doesn't, these don't belong here at all for sure. Does collided happen here? No. Okay, so let's get rid of those. And then we're just going to make these global. Oh, and I called it ball ram here, which I shouldn't have done. Collide ram now. Cool. Ball row and ball column need to be public. Apply velocity y, x and y need to be public. And I should probably rename these as well, like apply ball velocity x and apply ball velocity y. Unfortunately. Speed up needs to now be public. Check ball in bounds. I'm going to actually copy that over instead of keeping it in here. Since it really is just a utility routine used by the collision code. Include ball.inc. Ball x and ball y need to be public. Ball state, I guess, needs to be public. Paddle. We need to include the paddle. Do we use the paddle stuff anymore? We still do. Yeah, okay. So unfortunately, we got to keep those. Add spin. This needs to be public. And then we need to make these here public. Check stage collide Y, check stage collide. Just more janitorial work. Oh, and that is a... Has that always been going on? I wonder if that's always been going on. I'll need to go take a look at or if that was like a copy paste thing. I'll need to take a look at the diff. So that would have been a bug. Not a terrible bug, but just like a performance issue and stuff like that, maybe. Just double checking collision. Check bottom collide, top collide, left. All those guys need to. Check paddle collide. And check left. Yeah, certain sort of naming issues that I should probably resolve, but you know, stuff works now, and now we've split up ball, which is awesome because this module is getting completely out of hand. Only other thing I want to do is I want to any public things here. I want to give a better name. So instead of reflect X, I'm going to call this like reflect ball X, reflect ball Y, speed up ball. Yes, it's not the nicest thing in the world to have these names that don't have an obvious, that are verbs that don't have an obvious object, grammatically speaking. Apply ball velocity X. Apply ball velocity Y. Oh, whoops. Like add ball spin. Like not great or anything like that, but it'll do. It's fine. Oh, why these are so indented. That's all good. Of course, we're going to get compilation errors that we need to address here. So reflect ball X, speed up ball, reflect, speed up ball. One of the other disadvantages of programming using programming on the Game Boy instead of using like a real game engine or something like that with like a real programming language with real IDEs is that if I were using something like Eclipse or whatever and programming in Java or Visual Studio and programming in C#, you know, I can just click on a method and be like refactor, rename, and it would handle fixing all these names everywhere. And there's ways I could automate this with like enough like Unix foo or whatever, but I'm not going to do that. My time is not worth that much. or that little, or whatever. I don't really know. Speed up ball, reflect X, reflect ball X, speed up. Hell, even search and replace could probably do it. Well. Apply velocity. Oh, do we use apply velocity X in here as well? Of course we do. Velocity. Yeah, during the normal update. Apply velocity. Apply velocity Y. There we go. And we're built, and it works, I hope. I can't see why it wouldn't. Yeah, it works. It's looking good. It's looking real good. Ball.asm, git commit.m, refactor collision code of the ball. Yeah, Git just thought that we actually rewrote the entire ball file. It's like, this is a completely new file. It's changed so dramatically because of how much you've deleted and changed. That's awesome. So next, the one other thing I wanted to do is this update map code. Sucks. So what I want to do is I want to, how do I compute the ball row and the ball column again? Update ball row, for example. So this accounts for the ball center, OM, Y offset, map server. So this already accounts for all of those things. So this corresponds to a row in the map. So I'm going to say, I'm going to take all of this. Where am I going to put it, though? Where am I going to put it? Well, since ball row and ball column are already global, why don't I put this in the game code? Like in the on-brick collide code that I have there in the game already. I mean, I don't necessarily like making the game code larger, but I think it belongs here more than it belongs anywhere else. And I'll call it like clear brick. Do I use any contents anywhere? Yeah, and I already have update tile, which I define, which, yeah, okay. Which comes from the collision. So yeah, I need to make that global, unfortunately, for better or for worse, but an unknown symbol update map, which I'm gonna, can I just get rid of this? I think I can just get rid of this, and it'll get called when the collision happens, and that should be okay. Let's find out. Oh, that definitely doesn't do the right thing. Holy smokes. Because we have already pushed the ball outside of the, got it. Well, I can do that here then, and that should fix it actually. It's a little subtle, but that'll fix it. I hope. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And I'm a little bit happier with that. So now both the game code and the collision code are roughly the same length, but this definitely belongs here in the game code because it's the one that's sort of managing the state of all the bricks. So let me just save that code. Game code. Cool. And then we've got this to do. I've done that already, so I can commit that now. Very exciting. Oh, wait. I want to open up the to-do again and see if there's anything nice and easy for me to do today, but it really feels like maybe this should just be a super short stream today, so I can go and enjoy the sunshine and maybe take some time later tonight and I'll make a logo, and tomorrow we'll do a nicer title screen. Or maybe, I don't know. There's lots of different directions I could take. I'll spend some time tonight thinking about it. And we'll go from there. But things are feeling good right now in the world of bust free. So I think that's all for today. Sorry for the slightly shorter stream than usual, or maybe you're welcome for the slightly shorter stream than usual. I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Have a good night.